So why do we have to add ID here and then \self? So the reason for this is because we're using an array of strings inside our list. And pretty much list requires that whatever you're using, whatever array you're using, must be identifiable. And the reason for that is because it wants to be able to tell each element inside whatever array you're using differently. So right now, if we use it like this, it will pretty much be fine. But say if I added another string here and gave it the same name, so H stack, V stack, right? If I give it the same name here, and the preview will run fine, you won't see any issue. But if I actually run this in Xcode, let's minimize this and run in Xcode, you'll see that we get this error here, pretty much for each, pretty much saying that the ID H stack V stack occurs multiple times within the collection. So the reason for that is because we're saying that each element inside our array will be different. That's why we're using id.self here. So the best way how we could handle this is actually using a custom object. So let's go up here and we're going to create a new struct. And a struct is basically, for simple terms, a way how we can hold some of our data. So let's just do struct learning. And we have to make it conform to this thing called identifiable. Basically, it's a protocol, but if that doesn't make sense, pretty much identifiable is a way how is a new ability that we can gain for our container called learning, if you want to look at it like that. And it requires that we have a variable in it called ID. And so let's just add that in, and then we're going to make it of type string, and we're going to get that value from something called uuid.uuid string. So this UUID here is basically a type created by Apple where you can basically make unique type of ID. You know, like how on social media we have different usernames and so forth? Well, UUID will make sure that whatever ID gives us is always unique, like how everyone has a unique social media handle or username. So now let's add that in. The other thing that we want is a way how to show the data that we were showing in the text, so like download Xcode. So what we're going to do is add a new variable to it, and we'll just call this title and make it of type string. And now what we're going to do is in our var learnings variable here, right? Instead of it making it just an array of strings, we're going to make it an array of a learning, which is what we just created. So we'll just do this, swap that out, and we're going to get some errors here, but let's just get rid of this. Let's just start over, remove this. And then inside here, we'll write the first thing. So we'll say learning, title, and then we'll say download Xcode. And you might be wondering, like, why don't I have to write ID here again, right? The reason for that is because I already set a value to it. So every time a learning is created, it automatically will get a unique ID. Only thing we have to do is just set the title. Yeah. So now let's add one more. So let's do learning again, title, and let's just do add text, because that's something else that we learn. And now let's scroll down and you'll see that we have some errors here. The reason for this is, well, the first one, it says that we're saying that we're going to use id-self. We actually don't need to do this anymore. We could just remove this. And you'll see that error disappears, but now you see an error here where we're using text. So remember, each learning element is now like this struct called learning. So to actually get the text that we were using, we have to type in title. Okay, remember? Title right here. So if we change this and we say dot title, and then we scroll down here, and let's just refresh our preview, you'll see that now we get back the list and we don't have that issue again. We could also, let's add something with the same name. So let's just copy this, and we'll add back add text again. And then when the preview refreshes, nice. Now let's run it again to see if we see that error that was saying we have multiple instances. So do that, run, and we have it loaded. And when we go back to Xcode, when we open up Xcode, you'll see that we don't see that issue mentioned here again. So again, to fix that, if you want to remove the requirement for using id.self, consider using a custom object for your array instead. And in that way, and just make sure that it conforms to identifiable, and it has a variable called ID, which can be represented as being a unique ID. So somewhat unique for each one. If you want to show a string list inside your SwiftUI list.